So one of the hardest things in life is trying to figure out which path is the right path to take. In a world where there are so many things that you could be, how do you know which one is the right one? If I pick one thing, I can't be another thing. Right? I saw my life branching out before me like a green fig tree. From the tip of every branch, like a fat purple fig, a wonderful future beckoned and winked. One fig was a partner and a happy home. Another was a famous poet, a brilliant professor, and editor. Another was Europe and Africa and South America and Constantine and Socrates and Attila, and above all these figs were even more figs I hadn't even heard of yet. I saw myself sitting at the base of this tree, starving to death, because I couldn't make up my mind which of the figs I would choose. I wanted each and every one of them, but choosing one meant losing all the rest. And as I sat there, unable to decide, the figs began to wrinkle and go black, and one by one they plopped to the ground at my feet. Now, you may have heard this poem from Sylvia Plath's 1963 classic, The Bell Jar, which I've paraphrased for brevity. It's a devastating allegory that focuses on the incredibly relatable and heart-wrenching feeling that when we're confronted with all of the options for what we could do with our lives, picking one means giving up the other. If I have to pick between two treats, I can choose chocolate or vanilla. I can buy the red shirt or the blue shirt. I could be an artist or a filmmaker or a writer or a teacher. But which one is the right one? How can I know that picking one won't resign me to a life of anguish and regret? There's no wise sage I can ask for help from. No cosmic rubric I can score alternate lives up against. To be at the end of my youth with a frankly dizzying amount of autonomy over the entirety of the rest of my life, the silent implication is that once I choose a path, and I commit to it, at the end of that road, when I look back, I will have to grapple with my own mortality. Staring at all of the potential options for what my life could be, how can I be sure the one that I pick isn't gonna be wasting my life? See, to me, the way this poem makes all of us collectively feel is a mental trap. It is incredibly seductive to languish. We all start out as kids with so much potential, but eventually there comes a time when we're not kids and we have to actually use that potential. But which thing? There are so many options. Which identity is the right one? Which mask fits the best? As I sit here at the end of my 20s, having spent the better part of a decade spinning in circles, trying to figure out which thing is the right thing, and I look out over the edge of 30, all I can remember is my time in the woods. When I watched what I thought were all of my figs drying up, I retreated back home to my hometown and rediscovered playing in the woods. I spent hours in this nature reserve right here, just walking and picnicking and hiking and exploring. Just me, myself, my headphones, and the trees. And there's this one tree that I would come back to throughout the 2 years that I was at home, every single season, and watch how it changed. It's a funny metaphor to use, a fruiting tree, because trees do this really funny thing where they move in cycles. In the spring, seemingly out of nowhere, they burst into life. They bloom to their peak in summer, they wilt in the fall, and in the winter, they die. Or at least they seem to. Now, if you were to see this pattern happen only one time, never having seen the trees do their dance, you would see winter as a tragedy. You would have no idea that the fruit falling is the literal act that fertilizes the soil for the spring. The very act of these figs falling makes it possible for these trees to bloom again the next year. If you saw these figs falling, you would lament. But then, in the spring, there they are again. And it's not just trees, it's everything. It's every plant, flower, animal, and fungi. They say that the one guarantee about nature is that everything dies. But that's only half the truth, isn't it? Because every year, after it appears to die, it does this crazy magic trick where it comes back to life again. What makes you so special that your dreams alone would be the only things to permanently die in the winter? See, the issue with this poem is that it assumes that you are the figs that dry up on the ground. It pretends that the things that you could be are synonymous with you, but you are not the figs. You're the tree. The tree doesn't weep over the loss of its fruit. It grows fruit regardless. In fact, if you never wanted fruit again, the tree would still grow it. The tree doesn't care. The things that you could be literally come from you. They don't just lose viability over some arbitrary, made-up time limit. The thrashing around you're doing is a dance, the same dance nature does. Death, rebirth, bloom, and release. The chaos of nature only looks tragic without the context of this dance. You will dance again and again and again, and find new figs each season. And maybe, if you're brave enough, you'll try other fruits too. Apples, pears, berries, plums. There's no limit to the food you can find. In fact, there's a surplus of it. Eat them all and give yourself a stomachache. Eat none of them and let yourself starve. Either way, they'll grow back in the spring. You are not the figs, you're the tree.